Do you have a get out plan?
I do. I don't know if I'm going to like. Yeah. I think it's some things. I mean, I think I like to be very open, but yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. Like, I know what I'm doing. There is. I've said it here today, as in like at the moment I'm very shaky, but I do have a get out plan. I'm very clear with what I'm doing. Whether it makes sense to anybody else is one thing or another, but like I'm very clear with what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes there might be a bit too much risk involved. But I'm prepared to jump out of the boat or out of the car and see what happens. And I always think, what's the worst can happen? Yeah, I really, what's the worst can happen? Like, someone won't put me up. No, I'm joking. No, honestly, I genuinely believe, like, what's the worst that can happen if I decide to jump out of the car and like see what I go on? Do you know what I mean? I really do.
All right. So playing the long game, the importance of income. Dino's advice to Jason was, and Dino is, I believe, Jason's uncle.
Yes.
Just for context.
Yeah, I remember.
Dino's advice to Jason was to find a job to help rebuild the savings he'd lost and to gradually start putting money aside each month until he was in a position to start investing in assets. This means going at a slower pace than he was used to, but it also meant he would be able to build a foundation. His conversation with Dino that afternoon gave him a new plan and lease of life, but the advice came with a warning. Dino told him to be careful when going to work for other people. His concern was that people often become so comfortable when they earn a steady income that they ultimately lose their sense of adventure. Never lose your sense of adventure, Jason. When you get in, you have to get out, Dino said. That's on page 61. Do you have a get out plan?
I do. I don't know if I'm going to like. Yeah. I think it's some things. I mean, I think I like to be very open, but yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. Like, I know what I'm doing. There is. I've said it here today, as in like at the moment I'm very shaky, but I do have a get out plan. I'm very clear with what I'm doing. Whether it makes sense to anybody else is one thing or another, but like I'm very clear with what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes there might be a bit too much risk involved. But I'm prepared to jump out of the boat or out of the car and see what happens. And I always think, what's the worst can happen? Yeah, I really, what's the worst can happen? Like, someone won't put me up. No, I'm joking. No, honestly, I genuinely believe, like, what's the worst that can happen if I decide to jump out of the car and like see what I go on? Do you know what I mean? I really do. I mean, okay. I said to my brother, all right. He's he sorted out like accommodation to go to Ghana next month.
Mm-hmm.
I said, find out how much it is for a year. And he goes, why? Like, he goes, why? I was like, I might go. I might get like, but my point is like, so we didn't go too deep into that conversation. But my thing is like, okay, if I decide to go and it doesn't work out, all right, in those 1, 2, 3 months, Jeffrey was fucking picking him back. Do you know what I mean? Jeffrey was still roaming around London. At least I went and tried. Do you know what I mean? At least I went and tried something. Do you know what I mean? Same thing as to Barcelona in some respect. Yes, eventually I came home because of the pandemic, but I had a wonderful 18 months straight, 2 years in Barcelona. No one could ever take that away. Do you know what I mean? No one could ever take that away from me. You said something very interesting. On Friday, I think is when we spoke on the phone as to that is very on brand. I found it very funny. As to, we'll talk about it later, but that's very on brand for Andrew as to doing X, Y, Z. And it wouldn't be wrong, you know, as to taking a risk. Like, again, what's the worst that can happen? You know, what's the worst that can happen? Do you know? Yeah, I forget what the question was, but like,
As usual. It's on brand.
Yeah. What was the question, by the way?
Do you have a get out plan?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, very much so. Very much so. I know what I'm doing. It's funny actually. Maybe sometimes with these seasons, or it might be, yeah. In fact, no, because he talks about planning a lot, obviously, in this book in regards to financials.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said on maybe previous episodes that I'm not too sure I've been as conscientious, all right, with my financials as I should be. And with that being said, like I've kind of like gone back and I've checked things, and I generally speaking, I have like a 1 to 5 year plan. Do you know what I mean? So I like to believe I do plan very well. Yeah, I like to believe I plan very well.
Myself, my get out plan is very vague, boy. I'll be honest. Lottery. So I think I had slightly more clarity prior to probably had more clarity when it was just me, if that makes sense. Like when I was without family.
Yeah.
I think now that's all changed. It's just kind of like I wouldn't say it's hard to see past like the next day, week, month, but it's very much you tend to take it more day by day. Whereas I had kind of a vague get out plan in terms of this will help to give me more financial freedom and freedom of time, that's almost kind of come to a halt somewhat. And that was probably to be investment in real estate, like more investment in real estate, just because financially it's not like at this point in my life, you know, there's too much outgoings to be able to kind of have the necessary funds to continue with that. And even just the way that society, i.e. the government, is forever changing laws and forever changing, you know, taxes, it makes it much more difficult to kind of go down that route. So for me, I mean, in terms of a get out plan, if we're talking about a get out plan to kind of free me up some time and get out of my working environment, it's vague. I kind of know the route I want to take to. There's a couple of routes that I would like to take or pursue, at least one of them, to assist with. For me, the get out plan is having more time, right? Let's just get that clear. And there's a couple of routes that are kind of that I'm keeping. Storm Dollar. I'm keen to explore further in the coming years to aid me with granting me more time. Yeah. So I don't have a kind of concrete get out plan. I'm working towards this, and in 2 years I'll be here, in 3 years. But I definitely have some kind of thoughts and vague kind of ideas I will pursue in the coming couple of years that hopefully will help me later on in life to give me a bit more freedom of time. And typically time, if you have time or want more time, you've got to have that kind of financial stability behind you.
Generally speaking, would you say everyone's get out plan is to have more time? I know time is a massive commodity for everyone, but I mean, is that...
I don't know, maybe time's a byproduct of, I don't know, but for me, the time thing is an important factor. I just feel like I'll never have enough time, whether that's to rest, whether that's for family life, and the kind of the byproduct of allowing that to happen would be more financial kind of stability for me anyway.
Yeah, I think in general people would like to buy back their time, but it's not always the case, and especially like you said, with the laws changing, tax codes changing, the living crisis, like people are having to work well past the retirement age just to be able to subsidize their pension, or if they've got a pension. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I guess everyone is trying to buy back time, but it depends on to do what with that time. That's an individual circumstance.
Yeah. No, because I found what he said interesting, because I guess that wasn't my answer or my thoughts actually, but it is what I'm trying to do. You're trying to have more time so you can pursue things or do things which you would like to do, which I imagine is the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's resting, spending time with family, all that type of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Cool. Sustainable income, building a side hustle. One of the biggest dilemmas people face in society today is striking the balance between employment and their side hustles. The desire to become self-made is so strong that people often waste time at work daydreaming about the life they could be building themselves. The problem with the idea that everyone can be self-made is that it hides the systematic challenges that some people face while trying to pursue their goals. If everyone can be rich and famous, then it sends a message to those that aren't already, may not be worthy or deserving of it. That's on page 67. Is side hustles viable for everyone, and should everyone do it?
It's not a case of whether, for me, people should or shouldn't do it. I don't know. I'm just a massive advocate for people trying new and different things, because, again, I don't know if this is a conversation we had, but like, I find it very difficult to understand that people don't know what they want to do. And it might be a case of, I'm very fortunate in that I know what I want to do. It doesn't mean that I'm better it doesn't mean I'm better than someone else. But I'm generally speaking, I'm just a massive advocate for people experimenting, because I wouldn't have thought that I was a creative person, generally speaking. But the more I create, but that's not why, but the more I've either written or done this or done that, I've gone, do you know what, actually, I think I have a real creative bone. And I think I should explore and push those boundaries more, whether it's either reading more books, do you know what I mean? Because sometimes you may see different writing styles and stuff like that, do you know what I mean? Or even book covers, and it might be small things that actually just like tickle your fancy and you go, do you know what, actually, that's really interesting. Back to even something you said before as to, it might be a conversation as to, I don't know, you know, if you hang around, for example, if I hang around a group of writers, at some given point, a lot of their creativity or their expertise is gonna, you know, rub off on me in some respect. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Do I feel I'm hanging around enough football people or enough writers or enough people who do short form content? The answer is no. Every single one of those things, if I'm being honest, every single one of the answer is no. Back to time. Do you know what I mean? But like, I do think people should try something or do something. I think everybody has like a skill set that sets them apart in some respect. Do you know what I mean? Everybody. I think yours will be like being someone who's very conscientious and very organized. Do you know what I mean? Mm. Yours will be very, very similar in some respect, actually. I haven't seen you in your work mode, but yours will be very, very similar. Yeah, it's just my thoughts, really.
Cool. What about yourself?
I don't know how people get through without having a side hustle or attempting to have a side hustle. Mm. Whatever it is, it could be just trying to sell bits on eBay once a week, but whatever it is, I just don't know how. I honestly, it's just tough. It's tough, man. If you're not attempting to have another way of trying a little hustle, then I got a second job. See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But then on top of that, market research here and there. Try to put something in a little crypto. Do you know what I'm saying? Just whatever it is, I'm just trying a little something. I'm not out here making. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not out here. My side hustle's fetching me 10 bags a month. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's just like, yeah.
But do you think there's, not to push the subject, but again, going back to that kind of hustle mentality, is it for everyone?
Still like that. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not even.
No, you work hard. You don't mind doing the graft. Like
yeah.
Put the work in. Like you
That's true. That's true.
This particular side job or role.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people would have pushed that to the side at the first opportunity.
A lot of people have, and then they've had regrets like 5 years later, which is crazy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I see what you mean.
I mean, I'll just use a couple examples, which would be Etsy store. All right. Now, I don't even remember why I started it. Yeah, scrolling one night. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, do you know what I tried? Like £1 bought its course for £1, did a bit of reading, blah, 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 and made $1,000 over like a short period of time. From this, I've not put enough effort in that. You know what I mean? Because the guy, Rick, has like lost my dad or whatever. So like, yeah, now like, you know, I'm parking that shit. I got shit to do right now. Do you know what I mean? But like, and by the way, his thing was not one store, you need like 10 of these MFers. Do you know what I mean? That's how you start seeing money. Get loads of different niches and da-da-da. I don't think it takes a lot of work. Sorry, that's me speaking from a place who, I'm not saying I've got these 10 stores, but what I'm saying is I didn't do a lot. I was in Germany on my course. Yeah, I need to send this to Joanne in Frankfurt, and I just buy from one place and send to another, and that's me done. That's it. Do you know what I mean? That's it. You bit of, I was gonna say, talent identification, pick out a product. Yeah, that looks nice. I'll go in my store. I'll go in my store, and I'll go in my store. Take a picture. Yeah, and you got a little Excel spreadsheet. I buy this dress from here. I buy this dress from here. I buy this from here, and that's it. That is it. I really do believe there are people who are smart enough to do all this type of stuff. I really do, and I'm not even one of those individuals because I've been lazy in regards to growing the store. That's the most time I got a block on my account, in fact, because I haven't handed in. No, not in a bad way. Because I've not submitted silly things like that. I can't remember actually, but just silly silly documents. You know what I mean? Because my mind's all over the place. I'm back to being all over the place. I've just not done those things. I'm not in a rush for the money. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, it's mad. Honestly, like even some of the skill sets I was thinking about is like you. I reckon you'd be a good PA for someone. I'm not trying to shit. No, I'm not saying.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, honestly,
Like,
people do that.
skilled,
Yeah,
organized.
do that part time. Do you know what I mean? Blah blah. Organize people's, I don't say day, but you get my point. People make good money for that type of stuff.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's very true. All right, so during the time of soaring inflation, it's understandable that people want to find ways of earning more money. However, even the most experienced of individuals can be guilty of making unrealistic assessments about business opportunities. It's easy to lose the sight of the fact that what works for someone else may not necessarily work for you. Does the idea of doing a side hustle outweigh the reality of starting one?
Yes. So I was trying to. Sounds pretty. Sounds pretty. People don't understand how hard it is, you know, to get getting the idea off the ground is hard work. Let alone making money. Who was talking to me about making money off something? I forget what it was. It might be something I was watching. But before you even see a pound, sometimes there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Do you know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
A lot of blood, sweat, and tears. So the idea, I think the glorification of being self-employed, all that type of stuff is, do you know what? I see sometimes people talk about, people sometimes, yeah, I'll do it. Sometimes people talk about how much money minicab drivers, Uber drivers, Bolt drivers, whatever you make. Yeah, you come and take a seat with me for a day, mate, and see how much work I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not as easy as, yeah, I mind you, I've picked up a few decent trips today. Like, if you're not out there putting in the hours, you're not going to make the money. And then, like, there's a lot of people, good people, by the way. Sorry, I'm claiming they're good people. All right, people are, I think these are young people, by the way, and I applaud it because I guess they're doing what I'm doing or they're trying something. Do you know what I mean? Whereas they're driving and they want to supplement or use the time, the flexibility to support what they really want to do. But sometimes within that, people are talking about, yeah, this is a lot of good money. It might be good money for their rate. Actually, that's another thing. Might be good at your age, that's a decent amount of money. But like at my age, that's just okay, like okay money. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't know. Like I think the whole side hustle thing, being self-employed, a lot of those things, generally speaking, I think there's a lot of glorification and glitter that's been sprinkled all over it. Do you know what I mean? But like in reality, there's a lot of hard work that is involved in it. And back to the whole mentor thing, do you know what I mean? That's one thing I sit and I think to myself, like throughout this whole conversation, where are these mentors? I'm saying where, I'm not saying where are they as in where I am, but I mean like, are we lacking mentors? Like, do you know what I mean? In terms of like really supporting people, young people, even older people, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would believe so. I would agree to say yes. Yeah.
I think it's really, honestly, me, myself, anyway, I definitely need one at this moment in time. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I try and mentor a couple of people that I've met in like, I've met some younger gentlemen, early 20s, just in network meetings, like business. And we stay connected and they just ask me questions and it's like a mentorship.
I know what you mean.
Nothing official. But we have conversations, and I give them my perspective. Obviously, being an older gentleman than them, my experience and knowledge and perspective is going to be different, and it's helpful for them at that age. And the reason why I like doing this, because I never had nothing like that at all. There was no one. I would have liked it, but there's no one to, at that time anyway, that I connected with or even offered to, not to say give unsolicited advice, but be willing to have that conversation and be open to answer questions that I may have been struggling with at the time. I didn't have that. So now I'm in that position to do it. I'll do it. I'll happily do it.
Do you know, like, throughout my journey, all right, because as I meet people every day, you know, meet people every day, all right? Some very inspiring people, knowledgeable people, experienced people, got loads of wisdom. And a lot of those people always tell me, continue doing what you're doing. I'm telling you that the amount of people will swap position with you in a heartbeat would do so. That doesn't look, from where I'm sitting, that's the case, that people will swap positions with me. Do you know what I'm saying? But like, where am I going with this? I guess, like, I don't know, man. Honestly, I just sit there, like, and I think to myself that, like if I did have guidance, for example, all right, things will be a lot different as opposed to what they are, you know? I really do think that. And sometimes there's no, oh, sorry, I was thinking about Dion. Is that his name?
Okay, his uncle.
Yeah, his uncle. Do you know what I mean? Someone's like, stay 10 toes in this for a little bit, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? If you've got that word, do you know what I mean? That goes a long way.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, of course, yeah, I'm picking up these people and they're telling me, you only talk to these people half an hour, 45 minutes tops. Do you know what I mean? And yes, you've given them a lot of information, a lot about yourself, but generally speaking, they might not know every single detail.
There's no nuances to the information.
There you go.
They give you a tailor-made kind of answer.
Yeah.
It's a generic, no, keep doing what you're doing because it sounds good. But
yeah.
if you understand someone's situation or you really have depth and knowledge of that person's, I guess, background, perseverance, what they're trying to do, what they have tried, you can give a more of a tailored answer to say, all right, cool, well, you've done this, you've done that. How about going this direction or staying in this direction or whatever it may be? Whereas when you're having these general conversations, you can get a bit off and they can generally mean what they say.
Of course.
But it may not have the same impact if it was someone that you actually had a genuine connection with.
Correct.
And you can see what they've done or what they've achieved or what they haven't done or what they haven't achieved and why they're giving you the advice that they're giving you. But going back to the original question, what do you reckon, Mace? In regards to the idea of doing a side hustle outweighs the actually action of doing it?
Doing a side hustle outweighs the action of doing it. Yeah, it depends, man. Like, if you're looking at a side hustle, like creating a kind of almost like a separate business on the side, and the business, what as I mentioned before, can be, well, similar to what you was doing, like buying products one place, creating a website, an interface, selling them another place for a profit. Like, it sounds great, but it's just having, like, just actioning it basically, and it's having the time to action that. With one of my side hustles, I've always had that. It's always been a side hustle, if that makes sense. So it's almost ingrained in me. I don't know any different. Whereas I can imagine if I tried to start that now, it'll be like, whoa, like, where's my Sundays? Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree.
So yeah, it sounds good. It's probably with anything, it's just kind of like putting the ball in motion and then sticking to it, the commitment side. Sticking to it and not dropping off. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. I agree, by the way. So if you're thinking about starting a side hustle, you need to give it some serious thought and be able to weigh out the pros and cons before you dive in. What's even more important is in identifying whether you simply want to make some additional money on the side or if you want to build something that could replace your main job.
Yeah.
That's on page 68.
Yeah. So sorry to cut you, but I know a couple of people. They're doing courses on the side to try and replace. Yeah.
Yeah, to replace their
exactly.
income.
Yeah. I know a couple people that are doing that.
Yeah, so you got to have a goal in mind.
Yeah, and
I mean,
it's
courses
not
in
easy. They're so say for instance they might work in HR,
yeah.
but then they're actually doing a physiotherapy course on
Cool.
the side because actually that's what where their interest lies.
Cool.
Do you know what I'm saying? And they're trying to like build up the experience on that side and then get yes, and it's tough from what I heard.
Going from employee to entrepreneur. At the time of his death in 2011, Jobs. Oh yeah, just to preface, he's talking about Steve Jobs and how Steve Jobs essentially was working at a company, working before he became this big entrepreneur and started up his own business with his friend, I believe. But yeah, going back to this part, Jobs was reportedly worth 7 billion. I would argue that Steve Jobs was a self-made individual, but perhaps none of his success would have been possible without his prior employment. There is now a false perception that being self-made means you have to depend solely on yourself without ever working for anyone else. As appealing as it sounds, being your own boss isn't always realistic or viable. After all, Jason was his own boss up until he lost everything and had to go back to the drawing board and start again. That's on page 74. If you go to page 76, whether you've got the book or your sales mace, they've got a picture showing you the employee versus entrepreneur. And can you read out some of the pros and cons for each?
Yeah. So there's a table on page 76, employee on the left-hand side, entrepreneur on the right. So one example is with an employee, you have a guaranteed regular income. Entrepreneur, no guaranteed income. Success is purely based on your ability to sell your product or service. Another example, you get paid absence, so holidays, sickness, paternity. Other side, no employment benefits, no sick pay or pension contributions. Another examples, taxes paid automatically through pay as you earn, PAYE. Entrepreneur side, paying your own taxes and national insurances. So there's 4 or 5 examples. That's just 3 of them.
Cool. All right, well, we might as well stop there because the next part is step 2.
Cool.
Well,
So go on.
Go on.
No, you said one of them, I forget what it was, based on your ability to sell your product or service. That's one thing I've been thinking about a lot recently. And I don't know, you might be able to speak on it in some respect. And I was talking about our skill sets, all right? I was talking about you, and I was saying, come on, Andrew, I was saying you'd be a great PA, this, that, and the third. Forget all that in some respect, all right? I guess what I'm saying is like, I really believe that a lot of us have great skill sets and actually are doing a lot of great things, but actually, let me not say yourself or anyone else I know. When I think about myself, I sit and ask myself, do I have great skill sets in being able to sell what I'm actually really good at? You know, because I think that will take you to another level and another plane, in my humble opinion.
But that's a whole different conversation. So I think a lot of people are struggling with that in terms of, can I sell what I'm passionate about or what I'm skilled at to the market? Does the market want these skills? Does the market feel they need to pay for this passion? Do you know what I mean?
Correct, yes.
So that's where the struggle is, because you can be passionate about something and people say if you work your passion then you'll never have to work again. But if your passion is, I don't know, ping pong balls, just solely ping pong balls, like that's your passion, is that gonna take you to the moon, so to speak?
No.
So it's just like, it's a very cliched thing to say, but not to say is there any substance with it, but at the same time, it doesn't always equate to what you would like it to be in terms of being able to live your life doing your passion.
Yeah, so no, we're talking about the same thing. I guess, what's it?
I mean, you can relate it to skills as well. Like if
of course.
If you're skilled at being able to say where this ping pong ball comes from and the type of, you know what I mean, give a whole history on it. I guess maybe you could start up a YouTube channel and talk about it, but
No, of course, yeah.
I mean,
And
yeah.
that links back to can I sell what
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm passionate about, what I'm skilled at.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, look at my man, brother. He sprinkled some salt on beef, and look what happened to
That's
him.
mad.
So all he done was sprinkle salt on beef, brother,
Mm.
on a beef steak, whatever it is. I can sprinkle salt on a beef steak. No, I can.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah. No, but I guess my point is like, well, not even point is, I do question like, is that what? Certainly, I'll speak on myself. Is that what we're failing to do? As in, like, are we not selling our products or selling our skill sets well enough? Do you know what I mean? It's all well and good being passionate about something, but are you selling yourself well enough? Are you selling yourself short? Are you scared of crossing that line and engaging with people in some respect? You know, potential, let's say, customers, consumers, you know, of what might be your skill set. Do you know, one thing I've always said said to one or two people is, generally speaking, I'm quite passionate about people and people doing well, do you know, and whether that translates to football or personal development, etc., that's one thing I can go, do you know what, that is what I'm quite passionate about. Are you selling that very well? Do you know what I mean? Are you selling that well, do you know, in regards to what might be your end goal? And sometimes these things, might be ping pong balls, blah, 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 so on and so forth. For as long as it's taking you on that trajectory in regards to that final stop, I guess it, you know, it aids and supports your development. You know, and I do question that, as myself anyway, but other people too.